This sixth International Day of Women and Girls in Science shines a spotlight on the role women and girls can play in the global quest towards sustainable development. Today, NIHU's Trinidad and Tobago Commission for UNESCO brings to you 7 of Trinidad and Tobago's own bright stars in an array of fields in science and technology. My name is Sonny Bling, and it is my honor to be here as your master of ceremonies to guide this auspicious occasion with my co-host, Natasha Jones. How are you doing?
Thank you, Sonny. So, folks, this program comes to you under the patronage of Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, ORTT, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share remarks from Dr. the Honorable Nyan Gatsby-Dolly, Minister of Education and President of the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. Mr. Dennis Francis, Chairman of Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. Mr. Massimiliano Lombardo, Program Specialist, Natural Sciences, UNESCO Cluster Office for the Caribbean. Ms. Deborah Lalu, Secretary General, Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. Mrs. Marlene Lord-Lewis, President of NIHU's, students, teachers, parents, all of you joining us here today on the Zoom platform. We're really happy to have you today. Members of the media, good afternoon and a warm welcome. Happy International Day of Women and Girls in Science. So to open our proceedings, please welcome Mrs. Marlene Lord, President of NIHU's. She's been charged with leading the strategic direction of the organization and shaping the national policy for innovation, creativity, and culture for excellence in science, technology, and innovation. Mrs. Lord-Lewis is a chemical engineer by profession. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Marlene Lord-Lewis.
Excellency, Paula May Weeks, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Nyan Gatsby-Dolly, Member of Parliament, Minister of Education and President of the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, Mr. Dennis Francis, Chairman, Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, Mr. Massimiliano Lombardo, Program Specialist, Natural Sciences, UNESCO Cluster Office, Kingston, Jamaica. Ms. Deborah Lalu, Secretary General, Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. Board members of the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. Representatives of the Ministry of Education. Representatives of the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts. Featured speakers, principals, parents, students, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. A truly warm welcome from all of us at NIHU's to all of you joining us today as we celebrate women and girls in science. My name is Marlene Lord-Lewis, President of NIHU's. We are indeed honored to be part of this collaborative event with UNESCO. As you are aware, each year on the 11th of February, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, celebrates the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, with a view towards promoting science as a realistic and attainable career path for women and girls. NIHU's, as the author and publisher of the 2011 Caribbean Women in Science and Their Careers booklet, applauds this initiative and has made strides to stimulate interest in the field by featuring women in science. This booklet documents and promotes public awareness of the contribution and often pioneering efforts of Caribbean women in various science-based and technological disciplines and professions, including medicine, engineering, and the natural sciences. NIHU's remains committed to our mandate to provide and promote science, technology, and higher education, while enhancing the innovative, creative, and entrepreneurial capabilities in science and technology in Trinidad and Tobago. It is our belief that this symposium will act as a conduit for national development and a catalyst to attract young women to careers in STEM, which means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. As such, I encourage you, our next generation of leaders, to seize the day, carve out your niche, and execute your passion in the interest of your family and our beloved nation. I thank all of you for joining us today and do hope that the presentations will spark or further your enthusiasm in the field of science. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Lord Lewis, for your perspectives and for shining a light on science. So we now hear from our co-partners for the event, UNESCO. To say a few words, please welcome Mr. Dennis Francis, Chairman, Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. He's a retired career diplomat with 38 years of service. Mr. Francis has served as Ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago to UNESCO from 2006 to 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dennis Francis.
Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Nyan Gadsby-Dolly, Minister of Education, and President of the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, Mr. Maximiliano Lombardo, Program Specialist for Natural Science, UNESCO Regional Cluster Office, Mrs. Marlene Lord Lewis, President of NEHO's distinguished panel of presenters, students. This symposium represents the climax of a year of work following the Commission's decision in 2020 to join the international community in celebrating the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Within days of the planned staging of the event, out of nowhere came the coronavirus pandemic. In a word, science derailed our plans. An imperceptible microbe has had a devastating impact on the economy and society. Interestingly, it is also science, in the form of vaccines and therapeutics, that hold the key to getting us out of this dreadful situation. Such is the extraordinary power and potential of science in our lives. The National Commission focuses on the 5 pillars of UNESCO's work. That is, education, culture, social and human sciences, communication and information, and natural science. Coronavirus apart, there is a tendency in our society to overlook or to take for granted the foundational importance of science in shaping our daily lives. Since youth empowerment is central to our mission, the Commission felt it both necessary and desirable to remind and to refocus the nation's attention, particularly our young people, on the unique place that science occupies in our lives and on the contribution it can make to sustainable development. Whether it is the foreboding La Soufriere volcano in St. Vincent, the undeniable evidence of climate change that is all around us, or the fact that much of the food that we eat is genetically engineered, there can be no doubt that this country would benefit significantly by expanding its scientific capability and exploiting the resulting opportunities for commercialization. We must attract increasing numbers of girls as well as boys to that effort. In the meantime, recognizing excellence where it exists, let us celebrate with pride and enthusiasm the sterling achievement of some of our leading female scientists, trailblazers all, by whose dedication and example we hope that there will be many more female and indeed male entrants to the field of science in the future. Thank you.
Especially for shining a light on how important science is. I mean, it's all around us. Every single day we're in touch at all times. Now we have UNESCO chair. Now we have Mr. Maximiliano Lombardo. He is the Program Specialist Natural Sciences, UNESCO, Cluster Office for the Caribbean, working out of the Kingston office in Jamaica. In his current position and working for UNESCO in Brazil and Indonesia, he manages several activities within UNESCO's natural sciences sector. In Brazil, He also worked at the UK Department for International Development, the United States Agency for International Development, the Nature Conservancy, and the Italian Development Corporation. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Massimiliano Lombardo.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm Massimiliano Lombardo, Program Specialist in Natural Sciences at the Unesco Cluster Office for the Caribbean. It is a great pleasure to join this symposium today on the occasion of the International Day for Women and Girls in Science. I will share with you some information about UNESCO's work to promote women's and girl engagement in the field of science. But first of all, it's important to say that UNESCO has been promoting women's and girl empowerment across all its thematic sectors, also because gender equality is one of our global priorities. Therefore, it is not surprising that there are many women in leadership positions at UNESCO, starting from our Director General, Ms. Audrey Azoulay. And our natural sciences sector is led by a woman scientist, Ms. Shamila Nair Bedwell from South Africa, who holds a PhD degree in life sciences. Despite much progress achieved in recent years to close the gender gap, women are still underrepresented in sciences. They account for only 30% of the world's researchers. Therefore, it is crucial to support and encourage more women and girls to engage in science. UNESCO has been doing this through several programs, projects, and other initiatives. The most well-known is the International Program of Awards for Women in Science, established by UNESCO and L'Oréal in 1998. Inspired by the slogan, "The world needs science and science needs women," the award has been given each year to 5 outstanding women scientists representing the 5 main regions of the world. To date, the program has supported more than 3,400 women from 115 countries, from several different science areas, awarding over 100 laureates, including 3 Nobel Prize winners. Therefore, the program provides models to women and girls who are interested in science careers. Among the recipients of the annual fellowships, in 2002, there was a scientist from Trinidad and Tobago, Ms. Rihanna Alicia Juman, supported for her studies about wetlands. I know that Trinidad and Tobago is making great progress towards increasing women's and girls' engagement in sciences. The most updated official figures show that women graduates outnumber men in nearly all faculties in the field of sciences, at all the degree levels, and that women represent almost 50% of the total number of researchers in the country. Some of them will tell us their stories today. I congratulate the National Commission for UNESCO and the National Institute for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, NIHRST, of Trinidad and Tobago for their initiative to organize this symposium to celebrate women and girls in science. UNESCO stands ready to keep cooperating with the government of Trinidad and Tobago and its partners to promote further achievements for women and girls who want to study and work in the field of sciences. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. Now, that was a nice address, and I really liked when he said that the world needs science, and science needs women. And of course, I hope you guys are taking all the pointers and all the messages here today. And I'm definitely enjoying this. I'm a father myself of girls. I have daughters. I have a son in there too. But my point is, I have daughters. So when we get invited to events like this, is really, really nice to see and hear what's going on. So when I go home, I need to say, hey, my dear, you need to go check this thing out. Go online, and get yourself involved, because the world needs science. And science needs women. All right, now it's always a pleasure to hear from our Minister of Education, Dr. the Honorable Nyan Gatsby-Dolly. The Minister of Education also serves as President of the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. She brings greetings and shares her perspectives on gender equity in science and technology. Let's take in her address.
Excellency, Pauline Weeks, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Mrs. Marlene Lord Lewis, President of NIHRST, Mr. Dennis Francis, Chairman, Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, Ms. Deborah Lalu, Secretary General for the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, Mr. Massimiliano Lombardo, Program Specialist, Natural Sciences, UNESCO Cluster Office, Kingston, Jamaica, presenters, specially invited guests, students, members of the media, good morning. This morning it gives me great pleasure to join you at today's symposium wearing two hats, that of Minister of Education and also President of the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. I wish to thank NEHUST and UNESCO for the collaboration and successful hosting of today's event. Celebrating women and girls in science in Trinidad and Tobago is very dear to my heart as a woman in science myself. As a proud chemistry PhD holder, it gives me great joy to celebrate women who have pioneered and broken boundaries in science. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, girls have the opportunity to follow their educational goals and achieve them through hard work. This is not the case in many countries around the world. For many girls, the mere thought of pursuing academics, much less science, is simply pointless. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics have been dominated by males globally for as long as many of us can remember. However, I am pleased to report that in this small Caribbean island, women and girls have had a significant impact in all these areas. At the tertiary level, female representation is at an all-time high. In the areas of science and technology, engineering, medical sciences, food and agriculture, social sciences, and education and humanities in 2019, females were 69% of the graduates at the BSc level, 62% of the graduates at the master's level, and an impressive 70% at the PhD level. For this, I must commend the young women of Trinidad and Tobago and the teachers and parents who have inspired and encouraged them. I want to encourage every young woman who may be in earshot. Do not be daunted in your pursuit of study in any field simply because of your gender. You have the opportunity, skill, resources, and support to achieve whatever you set your mind to. If we are to have a successful future, we must have successful women leaders and innovators. For this world to succeed, women must succeed. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals guides Trinidad and Tobago's Vision 2030. Goals 4 and 5 speak to quality education and gender equality and empowerment for all women and girls. This is what today's symposium signifies: a collaboration with a singular goal to empower women and girls through quality education, and of that I am well pleased. Young women, take all of the information shared with you today and use it to guide your next steps. You are blessed to have phenomenal women presenting this morning in the areas of biochemistry, molecular virology, marine ecology, astronomy, electrical and computer engineering, and cosmetic chemistry. Use this opportunity to ask questions, seek clarifications, and dig deep for the information you need for your growth and development. The Ministry of Education will continue to provide quality and equitable education accessible to all. It is now up to our students to decide how they will use this to help our country progress. So I pose to you this challenge. How will you impact Trinidad and Tobago's development after today? Think about it. Put in the work and achieve it. I have every confidence in you and the success of women and girls in science in Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you and I wish you all the best in today's proceedings.
Good morning.
just heard from someone that I've interacted with before, and I know that she is also a mother of girls, and she's very adamant about her girls.
And she's very passionate.
Correct.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I just find it so encouraging that
I didn't even realize that the minister is a chemistry major and all kind of thing.
That's right.
Hello, that is what we're talking about, women and girls in science, but you never really know, we never
So I hope
really
that
know.
the women, young women, are going to take up this challenge. I mean, we're so blessed to be in Trinidad and Tobago, where we have access to free education.
That is quite correct, huh?
Yeah.
And some people take that for granted, not knowing the real truth, huh? Hello. Now, the President of the Republic, Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, patron of this event, will now address us. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, get your pens in hand right now, take some notes as we take in a word from Her Excellency.
Good morning. I am delighted to open and address you at this virtual symposium, which acknowledges, celebrates, and salutes women and girls in science. Those who can boast of great achievements in their fields, as well as those bursting with the potential to follow in their footsteps. I stand in awe of these trailblazers for many reasons, not the least of which is that I was absolutely hopeless in school at any subject in the STEM field. This was nature, not nurture, since both my family and my alma mater inculcated in me the certainty that I could do anything I set my mind to. I chose to play to my strengths. Several of my former schoolmates now pursue exciting careers in STEM, including the brilliant Professor Judith Bobin, from whom we will hear today, and who bears the distinction of being the first woman to be appointed Professor of Science at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. Last year, my office planned to host an initiative called First Women, which sought to bring together female panelists who were the first of their gender to occupy significant positions in traditionally male-dominated professions. The purpose of the event was to motivate and inspire young women to achieve similar heights, as well as to educate and sensitize young men on the evolving role of women in the workforce. Among the outstanding women that we had hoped to feature were Dr. Camille Wardrop Allen, the first person of Caribbean descent, male or female, to hold a senior management position at NASA, and Dr. Shireen Hack, the first woman to head the University of the West Indies Physics Department, and who is also one of today's speakers. That initiative, unfortunately, was an early casualty of COVID-19. And so you can imagine my delight when I was asked to present Dr. Hack with the 2020 Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellent Prize in Science and Technology. As she spoke, her zeal and love for her work were palpable, and now I hesitate to use this word given these times, but even infectious. You are in for quite a treat. For some, the passion for science and other STEM subjects is kindled from a very early age. Both Doctors Hack and Allen have spoken of gazing up at the stars as children, fascinated by their beauty, and determined to explore and discover the sky's secrets. Others were introduced at a later stage, perhaps by a charismatic teacher who stimulated and piqued their interest in STEM. Even if the bug has not bitten you as yet, this forum is a golden opportunity to learn from the vast experience, expertise, wisdom, and life experience of these female pioneers of scientific achievement. You will hear about the highs and lows in the field and gain insights of the various factors at play for young women in this critical area. Women, unfortunately, are underrepresented at all levels of STEM around the world. Although they make up roughly 50% of the global population, they comprise less than 30% of scientific and technological researchers. At first glance, women in Trinidad and Tobago appear to have bucked that trend, outperforming and outnumbering their male counterparts in STEM at the tertiary level, with engineering being the last bastion of male predominance. However, When we consider that Professor Gobin is the first female professor of science in the 60 plus years of the UWI St. Augustine's existence, we see that there is yet some ways to go, and that particular glass ceiling requires emphatic attention using our collective force. STEM encourages risk-taking, addressing the manifold challenges of the modern era and identifying novel solutions to existing and emerging issues. Greater participation of women and girls in STEM ensures a wider variety of perspective and opinion, knowledge and approaches are brought to the table. In this era of COVID-19, technology and innovation are paramount, as many institutions, organizations, and individuals must change the way they do business in order to survive. Today, the relevance of STEM is on stark display, as even though the virus has prevented us from meeting physically, technology has enabled the staging of this symposium on a virtual platform. Globally, 1 in 20 jobs is STEM related, and this number is set to increase. If Trinidad and Tobago wants to keep pace with the rest of the world, we must create more jobs in scientific research and place greater emphasis on the relevance of STEM to our national growth and trajectory. If I could relive my school days, given what I know today and my adventurous spirit, I might have been tempted to throw my hat into the STEM ring. As we mark the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, let us hail our scientific pioneers, that bold group of glass ceiling smashers, which has cleared the path for others to follow. I encourage women and girls to strive to hurdle the remaining barriers of gender equality, confronting stereotypes head-on and making their mark in the world of STEM and in our country's development. So buckle up. You are about to embark on an exciting journey through the world of STEM, piloted by 7 intrepid presenters, all first class in their fields. So students, prepare for takeoff.
Truly appreciate the way Madam President ended up right there. Students prepare for takeoff, and she rightfully said we are getting ready for 7 presenters who I am also quite excited to hear from in terms of the field of work, right? Yeah. So let's get into that right now. Students, teachers, participants, all. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce the 7 women whom we celebrate today. Women who have all distinguished themselves in science and technology, each with a global impact. And more importantly, each is a daughter of the soil, all right? We will hear from each of them, beginning with the first 4. First of all, we have Cheryl Bowles. She's a biochemist and entrepreneur. Professor Christine Carrington, a molecular virologist. Now, these are some really nice titles, okay? Professor Judith Gobin, a marine ecologist, and Dr. Sharon Hack, an astronomer. These are just the first 4 of 7 that we're going to bring to you guys here today. So sit back, relax. We're going to run one after the other, and you do not want to miss a beat. Put on your seatbelt.
And be inspired.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be inspired. Put on your seatbelt. As the president said, it's time for takeoff.
Nice to have you. Can you come on in? Well, good afternoon. I'm Cheryl Bowles. I'm a biochemist by profession. And I was once chief chemist at Nestle, where I worked for 10 years. And then I began to ponder, well, maybe I can do my own business. And I began Chanel, which is based on herbal and natural cosmetics. And I've been doing that for a while. Well, the journey has been interesting. You'll have its ups and downs, but I was always passionate about science. In fact, growing up, my grandmother saw me as a doctor, and maybe in a white coat, but I saw myself in a white coat, and I ended up in science. Science is fun, science is challenging, adventurous, and for me, it just exuded all possibilities beyond one's wildest dream in the ability to create. It is important, the foundation, yes. When I left school here, I went to Canada. I did my degree in Canada in biochemistry and always wanted to return to Trinidad. And so I returned, and I was first worked at Nestle. I was the first woman chemist, first woman manager there. And I did that for 10 years. I co-founded a credit union and, had fun there. While head of quality control, head of product development, head of safety and hygiene. And so the Nestle's experience for me was the most fit grounded in terms of a platform on which to launch my own journey, creating products for us in the Caribbean for our skins. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, my strength was in management and product development. My strength was not in finance. My strength was not in legal affairs. My strength was not in accounting, so very early I gathered that team around me. And of course, just the ups and downs. For instance, in terms of the product, in Trinidad, we're very foreign oriented. And so I had to convince Trinidad and Tobago that they could buy their local product. And what I did, I used TV. I created my own scripts, and I did a 5-minute feature just before Young and Restless on that Thursday, right? And I used that forum to highlight where I would be, because in this journey, in also trying to establish a business and a national business, I had to go throughout Trinidad and Tobago. And so I would use the TV to say, I'll be here next in Princess Thomas and Fernando. And what was amazing was the turnout. So I knew I struck a chord in terms of people wanting something in terms for their skin, their hair, their body. Pursue the science. There's so much beside fun in science, creativity. It's such a wide field in which you could really have a great career. I think if I would have probably been more conscientious at my work, and enjoying it some more. Maybe I would have studied physics harder. I didn't really like that subject. I just barely scraped through. No, just for university. So to work hard. You work hard and you have fun. But always keep focus in terms of where you want to go and what you need to take you there. And I think even more now, as we are in such a kind of fast-paced social media, you have to be so much more focused because there's so many distractions to take you away from your journey. So you really have to, with support, teachers, friends, family, keep your dream alive. Well, I would say dream, right? One, be inspired, set your goals, ensure that you have the skill sets to establish those goals and keep focused. Have fun in between, and always be listening, always be. It's a kind of world that's so dynamic and changing, and you have to be flexible and sometimes to move in order to really live your best life. The thing is, for me as an entrepreneur, there's no expiry date, right? And people tell me every time, I say, why? I'm having fun, I'm doing what I like. And so that's the beauty of it. And making people feel good about themselves, and in turn makes me feel good about myself and help me to be young at heart.
Okay, so my name is Christine Carrington. I am a professor of molecular genetics and virology in the Department of Preclinical Sciences at the Faculty of Medical Sciences at the University of the West Indies. I am currently the head of the Department of Preclinical Sciences, and my background is that I have a BSc in biotechnology and a PhD in molecular virology, which I got from the University of London a very, very long time ago. I've been working here at the university since 1996, yes. And I teach, the main parts of my job are teaching, doing research, and more recently, a lot of administration. The part I like most is the research. Okay. So, I started off, I was on my initial education was in Trinidad, so I went to St. Joseph Girls RC School, and then I went to St. Augustine Girls High School. I was lucky enough to get a national scholarship, which I used to go to the University of London. I went to King's College, where I did a BSc in biotechnology. At that time, biotechnology was a very new area and very exciting, and everybody was very excited about the prospects of it. When I went there, the course that I found I enjoyed the most was my virology course. So I chose afterwards to go on to do a PhD in virology. And I had the good fortune of being accepted into the lab, the research group of Professor Robin Weiss, who was a very well-known virologist in the UK. And I spent over 4 years, I did my PhD, and I came up with a degree in molecular virology. And after that, I did a postdoc for about 1.5 years in the same lab before coming to the University of the West Indies as a lecturer. And then over the years, I've gone from lecturer to senior lecturer, and now professor of molecular genetics and virology. I have to say, I think so far I've had a relatively easy journey through my career. You do come across hindrances and sometimes difficult people, and often prejudices that you have to deal with, but you just have to keep forging ahead, and I think that's what's helped me get where I am today. And also, I think one of the most important parts of my journey have been the people who have helped me along. So a lot of mentors, very important people, my PhD supervisors, Professor Weiss and Professor Thomas Schultz, were very important. And later on, I had, for example, Professor Eddie Holmes at the University of Oxford, where I took up a Commonwealth Research Fellowship in 2004. That was very, very useful. These people have been all very, very supportive. And here at the university, my former head of department, I always, I've been surrounded by very supportive people, my husband, my family. So I think I have to, I think the important thing is that a professional journey is not in isolation. There are people who help you along the way, and you can't take credit for what others have, helped you to achieve. So it's been good. When I was in high school, I did, let's say for my A-levels, we did A-levels, not KEEP at that time, and for my A-levels, I did biology, chemistry, and mathematics. And then we had another subject called general paper. So I did those 4. I was always very interested in sciences. My mother was a biology teacher. She taught me biology from Form 4 to Form 6. My father was not a biologist, a scientist. His area was linguistics and education, but he was always very interested in sciences. So I was always fascinated by science. And I think the main characteristic I think that helps to be a good scientist is curiosity, open-mindedness, and a passion for learning. One of the greatest things I think about being a scientist is that you have the opportunity to learn new things every day without doing any exams, but eventually after the education. So yeah. So the advice that I normally give to 15-year-olds is to not my 15-year-old self, but to 15-year-olds in general, is to work hard and play hard. I think these days a lot of students spend they either on one extreme or the other. All work, no play, all work and no play, or just skylarking. And I think it's important to find a nice balance between the two. As a 15-year-old, I think I achieved that balance. I can't say I would have changed that. What I would have told myself, however, is that adults and people with experience, they actually sometimes know what they're talking about. And that while it is important to have your own mind and your own path, I think it's also important to listen to and learn from people with experience, the right people who have your interest at heart. So that's what I would tell myself. I was a very stubborn 15-year-old. I mean, I listened to I wasn't badly behaved or anything, but I was very, very stubborn. I think as an adult now, you realize, wait a minute, these people who have actually lived through experiences know something. Yeah, I have a 15-year-old son now, so that's why I learned that. So I work on viruses. My research focuses on I investigate viral evolution. And I'm very interested in emerging viruses, which are viruses which have recently expanded in their range, like the geographic range, things like chikungunya virus or Zika virus, or viruses like SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, viruses which have newly emerged into human population. So that's my interest, and that's been my interest for years. And I'm interested in how the viruses change over time, and we do a lot, how their genetic material changes, how they mutate, how they evolve. That information, we can use that information, analyze that information to learn things like how viral epidemics behave. So I just find it, the most exciting part for me is just learning new things and discovering new things. I particularly enjoy working with my graduate students, my PhD and MPhil students, and just, interacting with young scientists. I also really enjoy the whole scientific community, interacting with people, scientists who have such a wealth of experience and ideas, and just learning from them expertise. That's my passion, learning new things. Well, I think, what would I tell young people? I would tell them that science is a vast world. The field is very large, and there's a lot of space for everyone. There's for all different. We need all different types of people in science. Science is not just about being in a lab. You can go beyond that with a degree in a basic science. You can be involved in journalism, and starting with an understanding of science. You can be involved in science policy. You can be at the bench. You can be in academics. You can teach. It's a big field. And my advice would be to, even if you have an interest in science, to maintain a broader outlook. It's important to read novels, learn another language. All these things, they broaden your mind, and you shouldn't just be focused on, biology, chemistry, maths. Get a broad understanding of the world and of yourself in order to move forward. And one of the things I learned is that math is very important. Never forget that. People always say, what's the use? Well, what am I ever going to do with this math later on? But in science today, because people are dealing with huge amounts of data, analysis of that, underlying all of that is mathematics. And even if you don't get involved in that sort of area, there's a big area called bioinformatics. Even if you don't get involved in that, understanding math, having an appreciation for math is a big benefit when you have to speak to those people. So yes, I don't follow your passion.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Judith Govind. I'm a professor of marine biology here at the University of the West Indies. So my expertise is in marine biology. Sure, it's a very, very exciting field. It's a field where one can be exposed to discovery. You can discover new species, new organisms, and of course, the ocean is huge. So there's a lot of exciting things to do in the ocean. There's a range of research areas in marine biology. I am more, my expertise is more in diversity of organisms. And I started off in shallow waters and then ventured into the deeper areas of the ocean. And that has been a really, really exciting journey. I started with microscopic organisms and then venturing out into the deep sea. That's where you have the larger organisms and animals. And that was a very, very exciting area to get into. And so that's the sort of latest research that I'm involved in. It's deep sea research. So it's, of course, very exciting to have come this far. Along the way, there were various challenges. Of course, in Trinidad and Tobago, the field of marine biology is actually, or it was, very small. When I got involved, a large number of years ago, there were very few marine biology specialists or even women and researchers in science, basically, in the marine sciences. I was very fortunate to have gotten a job at the Institute of Marine Affairs, and that's really where my love for marine sciences really began. And I was exposed to really very good resources and training. I started off looking at very tiny marine worms under microscopic conditions. So one needed to be very patient. You need to be very detailed and specific with science, like all other sciences. You have to be very careful. And of course, along the way, we learned to draw specimens really well, and you're looking at microscopic specimens. But for young people nowadays, it's really a lot easier because the technique is amazing. There are all these wonderful microscopes with camera attachments and with drawing attachments as well. So it has made the job a lot easier for them. In the days when I started, we hardly had a camera that was attached to a microscope. So it's been a very exciting journey, and I think for young scientists and young women especially, it's an amazing field to get into because there's so many different things you can do. In marine sciences, apart from just basically being able to identify organisms, then, marine biodiversity and so on, there's also the new areas of biotechnology and analytical chemistry, being able to discover new chemicals from organisms in the sea. And that's a really big new area, marine genetic resources, where, a lot of drugs come from the sea, a lot of cancer-saving drugs come from the sea, cosmetics from animals that there's a chemical compound that we tend to extract and then copy. And if you look at a lot of cosmetics and pharmaceuticals, their origins are actually marine species. It's difficult to speak to a 15-year-old self, given that we have moved so much with technology. So I would like to say that I would have paid attention more to details, used the technology, but I think a 15-year-old self nowadays, or person nowadays, the technology is so amazing, and you can keep up with details, you can keep up with information, but attention to detail as a scientist is very, very important, because you may be able to observe something, let's say when we're out at sea, and you observe what the weather is like, you're taking some measurements, you're looking at your meters, your monitors, and one single observation of maybe how the wind is blowing, the angle that the boat or the instrument is at, and it can make a difference. It's going to make a difference to your results. So it's really attention to detail. So I think that's really key. And of course, nowadays with technology, it really does help. It makes that attention to detail even easier. Well, for starters, I guess this is sort of where I've ended up. I'm the first female professor in the Department of Life Sciences in the history of the university. So that's very exciting after a fairly long career, and one of the few marine biologists in Trinidad and Tobago, really. And that's really exciting. But along the way, I mentioned with the deep sea research that I've done, I was very fortunate to have been on board with Professor Robert Ballard. And he is a renowned archaeologist, marine archaeologist, and a marine biologist. But he is also well known for having located the wreck of the Titanic. And it was very exciting being on board his vessel, the EV Nautilus, which is an exploration vessel. And I was the first Caribbean marine scientist to have been invited. And it was very exciting because we were off Kikamjani, which is the only submarine volcano in the Caribbean, active submarine volcano in the Caribbean. And it's there that we got the largest mussel specimen ever recorded. So we have, of course, a scientific paper came out of that, and that was really very, very exciting. During my sabbatical year as well, I was extremely pleased to spend time with the first female pilot of one of the renowned Alvin submersible, which was, very, very it's basically one of the very earliest ROVs, submersibles that went into the deep sea. And she was the first female pilot. So I did some work with her, and it was really very exciting to be with, a scientist of that caliber and to work with her. So we have some papers published together as well. The best piece of advice that I could give to a young researcher or a young budding scientist, as long as you're interested, go for it. Women like myself, we didn't know where we were going to end up because we didn't know the technology was going to develop so quickly, but it has, and you need to take every opportunity to get into it. So if you like diving, if you like videography, if you like working on a research vessel, if you like just data analysis, there are a number of careers you can get involved in the sciences and marine science especially. the scientific world is where we get to ask research questions, and we can continue to ask these research questions, and as scientists then we look to find solutions, because at the end of the day science does solve a lot of problems. Not only environmental problems, it solves economic problems, it solves health problems, so it really solves all the problems that we have in the world, and especially now with the COVID pandemic, I think the world is looking to scientists. So really this is an opportunity to get more researchers and young people involved in science, and especially women, because if I can do it, you can do it too.
Senior Lecturer in Physics Department at the University of Western. I teach, I do research, and honestly, I absolutely love the courses. The only interesting thing is that I actually didn't have any schooling until I was about age 7. So before that, I knew really nothing, no formal schooling, and I didn't even speak English at the time. But eventually, that's to tell you how one catches up. So I grew up in a village, and the darkness of the skies, and as I started to get older, my father, he always had a pair of eyes as well, actually. And one day, around the age of 9, I looked up at the moon, and with the binoculars, and as I say, I never looked back down. It was so absolutely enthralling and fascinating. The sky was always been very, very magical for me. So, like usual, I went to school, and naturally I was attracted to the field of physics, which is what you would need to do to become an astronomer. And the journey just played along, and I could not get this fascination out of me. But along the way, anyone that I would mention this to, that I would love to grow up to be an astronomer, I was usually told, astronomy, what do you do with that? You can't get a job with that. And you get up and look, negative reinforcement all around, but when you look passion for something, then I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to have a plan A and a plan B. So plan A was, all being allowed, if I could do astronomy and be able to work in the field. And plan B was that if it was, as everyone around me was telling me that you couldn't get a job without any curriculum, and this was my home, this is my home, this is where I wanted to work. I decided I'd be very happy teaching as well. But it's something that I tell my own students, that when you have a passion for something, pursue it. Doors will open up where you never thought it was possible. And finally, that's my journey. And eventually, I did my PhD between the University of the West Indies and the University of Virginia, and eventually became an astronomer, and today I'm the only professional astronomer in the Caribbean. As a career field, you should know that you need to really do it all the way to a PhD. It's a very specialized area of physics. And literally, the universe is yours to explore. So the field is very, very wide. You can do data analysis if that's your thing, but there are many people who think that, well, astronomy is about looking through telescopes. And certainly, you can do a lot of time doing that as well. We set up the first research group of Symposium in the English-speaking Caribbean region, and that's called SACU, St. Augustine, Florida. It stands for, and our job there is to monitor the behavior of what we call a quasar, which is a type of rock phase and how it behaves over a period of time. So that's what you can do observational stuff, you can do totally data analysis, but looking at all things that when I was getting to astronomy, that I've been hiking through forests, getting bitten by mosquitoes, and falling into mud volcanoes. Yes, you think me right. I kept falling into mud volcanoes as a matter of fact, it sort of happened all in the line of research. So a new area of astronomy that really has come to the forefront nowadays is what you call astrobiology. in the universe from the Caribbean, guess what? You can absolutely do that. We have the mud volcanoes and the pictures, and as well as a little bit of cooking and all the failures, not just good for Caribbean birds, but this holds clues to understanding life in the universe. So, astronomy is so broad that almost for anybody who has an interest in a particular skill set can certainly do something into it. So something like astrobiology now is what we call a multidisciplinary field. So whether you're still in biology or chemistry or geology, geography, we need everyone. And it's all under the umbrella of astrobiology. So our research team, they're very multidisciplinary from all over the world. And we are all trying to answer the questions as to how life is in the universe. Hindsight is a marvelous thing. You know, when you look back and all those years, decades ago, now, when you were in school, you're experiencing all anxiety and fear because as students, you always have fear of the unknown. And life is there ahead of you, very unknown as to what will work out. And my experience was that I was advised, as a matter of fact, my own supervisor, who did supervise me in astronomy when we had the discussions, he himself said to me, you know you wouldn't get a job with that at the end. So you have to learn to listen to your inner voice. And if I could go back in true time and say anything to the 15-year-old student, right, apart from standing up to it and put attention in class, it would be that have that faith. You have to have that faith in the unknown, and the passion will drive you. And as I said, that things that you cannot imagine possible, do become possible. And I think I'm not looking forward to that. Against the odds, I'm here. Because as we're talking about astronomy, there are just about 13,000 astronomers in the entire world. And I call it a dramatic effect, because when you think of the number of engineers, number of doctors, and other fields, this is a tiny drop of professionals in the entire world. So it's not surprising that within the Caribbean region, I'm the only professional astronomer, statistics that's why it's so small. And in that 13,000, just about under 20% of all people. So that's why I say against all odds, I am here. And that's the message that I want people to know, that never give up. Anything's possible. My instant answer is what does not excite me about being in the field of astronomy. When you're dealing with it, it's one of the areas that I find that has tremendous appeal to the population. And because of that, I end up doing a lot of outreach, a lot of talks to societies, short courses for people because they're just so fascinated by the field. And the thing is that at the end of the day, whether you are observing a black hole, stars, or trying to understand where life came from, it's a deep, deep search about who we are as humanity. Where did we come from? So the biggest questions that we, our existence, tend to go right back. We look for those answers back to the stars. The ancient people did that, and that's why we back to this day we use the constellations and the signs under which people are born, their fascination. But today, of course, the approach is extremely scientific and trying to answer those same questions. So absolutely, all of that fascinates me. And the thing is that of all the sciences, astronomy really brings together the chemistry, the mathematics, the physics, and today even biology. It all really culminates. And one of the things you will notice that if any nation ever wants to say their powers, it's always by technological powers. And what do? They go into space. So it's almost a measure to tell you of who we are. And similarly, like familiar with the names Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and what are they doing? They're going into space. It's where our future is. If we are to survive as as a species, we must venture to the stars. And that begins with us. It begins with all the young people out there. When I speak to many young people, and I have so many younger versions of myself coming to me, young ladies, I must say, who come to me and say they absolutely love astronomy. What are they going to do with it? You know, they are advised to become a doctor, a lawyer, or engineer. Right? So what you're passionate for, I always say stay with it. So one of the things that you're about with the young people, and I want to be aware of this, and it could be out there in Trinidad or anywhere in the Caribbean, the first person to go to Mars is already voted is a kid.
All right, folks, that was a fantastic piece there. All of our speakers were very, very prolific, if you ask me. I really wanted to be an astronaut at some point in time, so hearing from an astronomer is a real big deal to me. And I'm certain someone like my son, my daughter, they would be so very much involved in things like this, just seeing the old Milky Way and getting to see what's out there now. But we also want to apologize, though. We must apologize because I am certain you guys would have had a little bit of difficulty hearing all of what was taking place,
with the last video, with Dr. Sharon Hack, because it was so incredibly inspiring. Her piece. So we're going to see how we can do something to bump it up so that you can see it. But what I was really enjoying is the fact that throughout all there were life lessons that I thought were so they can connect with any one of us. From being flexible, having mentorship. Being curious, being passionate about whatever we're learning. And as Dr. Hart was saying just now, having faith in your inner voice. Yeah. I thought that they were all so inspiring, and I hope that you guys can get a chance to view it again. And I want you guys to know at the end of the program, we want to hear from you. We want to receive your feedback on presentations this afternoon. We have a poll that's going to go on. So at the end, do we have a Q&A? You're going to have an opportunity to see a questionnaire. We want you to fill it out. And the first 2 completed polls will receive a winner ticket for 2 to Jack's Restaurants for dinner. Hello. So that's great. And we also want you to follow us on NEHURST on its social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can also go on to Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. Their site is NADCOM-TT Virtual. It's a YouTube channel. And you can also log on to the website www.nehurst.gov.tt. I know that you guys are watching and you want you're an auntie to somebody and you want to get some girl. For me, I have a daughter. I would love her to see this. So you can go online later and take a look at this. All the videos from today's session will be online.
Correct. And I do encourage you guys that are here with us today to encourage other people who are not here with us today. Check this out. As we said, you have a friend, you have a family member. Yes, it's women and girls in science, but I see myself playing back this for my son. Because at the end of the day, it's that inspiring, right? So we need to just keep our young people in mind. And let's not forget that we've all been home with our children for almost a year now. So the more things we can find to really engage our children and keep them active and keep their minds going.
And inspired.
Correct. And that is very, very important. Now we have 3 women to go, all right? So our final 3 women this afternoon have distinguished themselves in their various fields of endeavors. And it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Salome Jordan. She's a double major graduate in chemistry. Dr. Kim Lalu, often described as a trailblazer in engineering education throughout the Caribbean, and Catherine Nurse, who blends her love for science, beauty, and entrepreneurship, forging an exciting and unique career path. So folks, let's check out these videos right away. Let's take it away.
to know me, Jordan, and I'm a recent graduate of the University of West Indies. I studied from a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry and Chemistry. I currently tutor students from Forms 1 to Form 6 in additional mathematics, chemistry, biology, general science, and mathematics. I'm also an activist for persons with disabilities. Well, at the age of 8 months old, I was diagnosed with a disability called cerebral palsy, which is caused from a lack of oxygen to the brain either before, during, or after birth. And as a result of this disability, this affects the movement of my body as it affects involuntary tremors of the hands, legs, and head. So from an early age on, I realized that there were two problems in society as I tried to get healthcare. One of the main problems were the lack of specialists in the public healthcare system and the exorbitant prices of those specialists in the private healthcare system. So from the age of 4, I made up my mind to go to school and be an excellent student with the hopes of one day becoming a doctor and eventually helping the lives of many specialist individuals like myself. However, early on in my education career, I realized that those problems were not of major concern as the one I faced all my life. Discrimination was and still is a major part of my life. My parents struggled many years to get me into preschool, and it was a series of closed doors until one decided to take a chance on me. There I was always seen as a child with a limp, the child nobody wanted to play with. It was as if somebody touched me, they would catch what I have. However, I was never allowed to partake in any school activities, and then the challenge of primary school came. There was a series of another closed doors until one decided to take another chance on me. There I was still seen as a child with a limp, and I was often bullied, as children at that age were very cruel. I would often spend my lunchtime alone or with the help of many teachers. At the age of 8 years old, I was referred to a child psychologist, which further diagnosed me as being a slow learner, which was not the case. So she recommended that I be removed from my primary school and enrolled in a learning center. That was immediately done, and I began that learning center immediately. After a year, I asked my parents if I could return to my former primary school, as I realized that I was not living up to my full potential at this learning center. So I returned, and when I returned, I was determined more than ever to prove everyone wrong and be the best I can be. I studied hard, and at the time of SCA, I passed for my first choice school, Honeyland Convent, Port Spain. At that time, the principal there was dedicated to her students and very interested in my well-being. There, I believed that anything I wanted to do was possible, and I would eventually attain my dream of becoming a doctor. I was allowed to thrive, and my love for science grew immensely as I saw science as a way to improve the life of many special needs individuals like myself with the advancement of technology. I was also involved in many sporting activities, including marching for Sports Day, and I was involved in clubs such as Student Council and Environmental Club. However, at Form 3, where it seemed that my career in science would not have been a possibility due to my lack of coordination in my arms, I was despondent. However, a chairlift was installed to take me up the stairs, and a student aide was hired to help me physically write my exam and my notes in class. The student aide was also responsible for physically performing lab work with the lab. So I never did lab work until my enrollment at the University of the West Indies. When I enrolled in the University of the West Indies, the issue of accessibility was just immediately. I was learning to record every semester to ensure that I was able to record my classes, and every exam time I would get extra time for my exams and I would get a scribe so that my exams could be written legibly. However, all of my classes were arranged so that it could be on the ground floor or it could be in a building where there was easy access to an elevator. But the chemistry building, on the other hand, had no elevator and it was 3 flights of stairs, and the chemistry lab could not be relocated. So I would stay at the bottom of the stairs and I would wait till one of my classmates would go into class, and I would kindly ask if they could assist me on their way to class. And since I've never done lab work until my enrollment at UE, I had to independently learn for myself how to perform this lab work accurately and precisely. In the final year of my university life, I was privileged to be employed as a student life and development department. There my communication skills and my leadership skills improved as I was called upon to voice my opinion. I was also called upon to speak as the voice of many disabled persons on campus, and there my love for advocacy grew as I realized that my life in itself is a form of advocacy, but I need to go out there and show persons that if I can do it, anyone can. In university and in secondary school, I was privileged to acquire many accolades. 2 of those accolades that I received in UE were a scholarship award, and I had the Biochemistry Award for most outstanding personal achievement. My family life was never one of riches. My mom has never worked a day in her life, and my dad was the only breadwinner as long as I can remember. Unfortunately, due to recent circumstances, he himself has been unemployed. So we had never owned a vehicle for my entire life. So traveling was a burden I often had to bear. To get to UE, I would take 3 stages of transportation every day, including that of the priority bus route. My dad and I would make it our business to leave home extra early so that we could reach to school on time, and he would have time to reach back in Port of Spain for his allotted time to start work. I was never privileged to afford textbooks. The textbooks for my degree program is very expensive, so I would stay in the library hours and write down my notes, as the textbook for my program could not be loaned out from the library. Discrimination is still a part of my life as I struggle to look for employment. I've been on many interviews, but none have been of success due to my disability. However, I am determined to continue continue my search and continue to inspire and motivate the students I tutor in the form of science so that they can see the importance of science in our everyday life and in the coming future. Don't let anyone determine what you can and can't do. When I was 15 years, when I thought that I would not be able to pursue a career in science as I couldn't physically do lab work, nobody could have told me that I would perform lab work now. So I would tell my 15-year-old self, never let anybody underestimate you. I see a lot of innovative material in biochemistry and chemistry. One that I could eventually become a doctor and change the life of many individuals like myself. So when I teach students from Form 1 to Form 6, the importance of science in today's world, and I see their excitement, and if I'm teaching a topic for a while and they don't understand it, and then I change my way of teaching and they do understand it, that motivates me. You need to make the sacrifices required to get where you want to go. It's not an easy road, and not always is, but at the end of the road, it's a rewarding road.
Lalu. I am an electrical engineer by education. Right now, though, I am multidisciplinary. I am an engineer of the interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary type. So my field of work is applied development studies. The applied component refers to contextualizing development studies in a real-world problem. The problems of my interest are to do with underserved communities and strengthening underserved communities through the use of technology. Building people and communities and nations through the use of science and technology. But still very, very much interdisciplinary, interacting with all of the disciplines. So, my professional journey, I did my bachelor's in electrical engineering at MIT. My area of focus was optics. I did a master's at the Institute of Optics, University of Rochester, in optics, of course, and then my PhD in electrical engineering at University College London, and my area of study was again optics. Optics is very beautiful. It's very beautiful. It's beautiful mathematically. It's beautiful physically. What is optics? Optics is the study of light. I got involved in optics. I love physics. My father was an engineer. As a little child, there was something about what he did and what he spoke, and I don't know, that got me very interested in physics, actually. It's just a beautiful subject of how you can model the world mathematically. And then you can take those models of the world mathematically and you can apply them to build systems that solve problems in the world. I was leading the communication systems group in the department, and I went out into the telecommunications sector in the Caribbean, and I asked the CEOs of the companies what do they want out of a master's degree in telecommunications. And they said policy and regulation. And I said, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about telecommunications. And they said, we're good in the technical part. What we need is policy and regulation. So my first reaction was, well, I can't help with that. I'm an engineer. But the call was so resonant that I conceded. And I said, okay, if that is what you want and you don't want anything else, I'm going to have to find a way to solve this issue, solve this problem. So I expanded from telecommunications, from optics to telecommunications, to policy and regulation. Eventually, the Ministry of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education contacted me and asked if I could help with using information and communications technology to train fisherfolk. And we started to develop suites of mobile applications for fisherfolk. So like the Masters in Telecoms Regulation and Policy, which was delivered online at a time when online learning was not a thing, we developed mobile applications for fisherfolk at a time when mobile applications were not a thing. This was before 2010. So that was the sort of the center of the professional journey,
right? But that is just the center. The professional journey is much wider than it is long. So everything spawned other things. All along the way, I've been a teacher. That is what I am. I am a teacher. So I teach communications at the University of West Indies in electrical and computer engineering. I lead the communication systems group. But I'm also the deputy chairman of the Telecoms Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. So in addition to the technology track, which is teaching and research, there is the policy and regulation track, which I'm very, very, very active in through my involvement in the authority, which I love dearly. There is one challenge that I've had in my career that I can think of. Though every day there are hard things that come upon us, I don't look at any of them as challenges. I just think this is the nature of the job. The challenge, I would say, for me personally, has been in leading. Again, because we are in a small economy, small country, you find yourself having to lead. I lead very, very many teams, different types of teams. You know, you find yourself in it. It's very difficult to get around it. And that's my worst challenge. If I was speaking to my 15-year-old self, the first thing I think I'd say is learn as you go. Learn as you go, because your journey will be different from mine. Even if it is me that I am talking to, your journey will be different from mine. And you need to let yourself learn as you go and follow the learning. I would also say that it's important to listen. Listen to the messages of those who love you and those whom you respect. So you ask me what is exciting about my work, I say everything. I say collaboration, because I collaborate from small-scale fishers. I learn from them, I collaborate with them, right? Many of them don't have basic education. I listen and I learn from them. They listen to me, they learn from me. My students, I learn from them, they learn from me. You know, the ministers of government, I learn from them every now and then. They learn from me. And everything, you know, vertically and laterally, it's all about connecting, collaborating, interconnecting, you know. So I love the fact of using science through connections with everything else that impact well-being, especially well-being for those who are underserved. I would say search for your place in the world. Search for your place in the world and ask yourself, in this place, how can I contribute? That's it. I would say, search for your place in the world. It could be that you're an artist. I have the utmost respect and admiration for artists. It could be that you're an artist, right? Find your way of contributing. And if we all do this in our own way, not prescribed by others, but if we all do this in our own way, we can have profound effect. If you're talking in the realm of science, and you are an artist, work with scientists. There's so much work for art in collaboration with science.
entrepreneur. I have a brand called Immortal Beauty, so I am a formulation chemist, so I formulate all the products, but also the entrepreneurial side comes in the marketing and the selling of the products as well. And I have a store called the Immortal Beauty Bar, which is located in the shop in the Hotel, and that's where we are today. Welcome to the Immortal Beauty Bar. So in terms of my educational background, when I was in high school, I didn't even know cosmetic chemistry was a thing that existed. So I was always very good at science, and I gravitate to what comes easily for me and what I can do well. And so I studied biology and chemistry in high school and took that all the way up to university, but I was never into physics. I was just like, let me stay in my little biochem lane. And you know, at that point in time, the assumption was if you're going to study science, you're probably going to go into a medical field. And so when I went to university, I went to the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. That was, you know, the obvious choice. I studied pre-med for 2 years. And then I really thought about this and I was like, yeah, I don't know that I want to do this. Because of my personality, I wanted a career that I thought was going to be a little bit more glamorous, a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more interesting. And I really didn't want to stay in school for an additional 4 years and then. So I started, I would love to say that I started doing research in a variety of areas in which I could use science, but no, I didn't. I was reading fashion magazines. And I was looking at the story of Estee Lauder and how that business was started. And I realized that there was science behind the products that we use every single day in our hair, on our face, on our skin. And I was like, well, this is a great way to bring together my two interests, science and beauty and fashion and all of these things. And there's an actual job that you can do that does those things in one. So after I left school, I made a really, really strong attempt to find a cosmetic laboratory that I could go into, because I always really liked the lab aspect and the practical aspect of science. And I did a lot of lab work, thesis lab work when I was in university. And I was really, really lucky enough to find a lab that was completely focused on cosmetic formulation, that was looking for interns. The great thing about this lab, it was full of black women. The vice president at the time was a black woman, and all of the chemists in the lab were black women. So when I went in and I said, this is what I am interested in, they were like, well, absolutely. So I interned there for 3 months, and then they hired me full time. And the joke was, they always told me that I was the first person who would ever come who intended to be a cosmetic chemist, because everybody else at that point in time, this is like the early 2000s, they had chemistry degrees, they studied chemistry, and then tried to figure out what to do with it afterwards. And many people ended up in the chemistry fields. And at that point in time, many of those chemists didn't look like the end user who was using the products. Many of those chemists were men who were really uninterested in the performance of the products long term. And for, you know, ethnic products, many of them were not people of color. And so we had a lab full of black chemists that were producing products, and it was really a great environment to start out in. So that's how I started my journey. So when I started the business, we started in 2011, and I launched with a line of foot care products, which were products that were relatively simple to formulate and bring to market easily. So we did a foot soak, a foot scrub, and a foot cream. And then I started a body product line, which is now evolved into a 40 product line. And that contains shower gels, lotions, body butters, body scrubs, oils, in a variety of different fragrances. So we make everything for 8 fragrances for our customers. I also do candles and home fragrance, which is a completely new area for me. We never explored candles when I was in the lab studying, so I completely learned how to do those later on in my recent years. And that is the total of the line currently. I would tell my 15-year-old self to not get too caught up in, you know, this is going to sound crazy, but planning for the future. Because when you set your mind on something and are inflexible about it, you don't allow yourself to open up to what the possibilities could be. So, for example, I had no idea where my CXC chemistry would possibly take me, but because I was super open-minded about it, I allowed it to take me into this great junior entrepreneurship, which actually fits my personality really, really well. But if I was, super set on always being, scientist 24 hours every single day, then I don't think my life would be as exciting or interesting or vibrant as it has become blending things together. And so it's really about keeping an open mind and being flexible. So the beauty industry changes every single day. It's a very fast-moving, fast-paced industry. There's always a trend to follow. There's always more to learn. There's always a new ingredient to try to incorporate, and there's always new customers to try and get. And the beauty industry also has really interesting marketing. Getting to be on both sides of it, on the business side as well as the chemistry side, I get to respond to all of those changes. And I'm a fast-paced, I'm mover and a shaker. So I love responding to the changes in the market all of the time. In general, I also just really love beauty products. So I'm very, very passionate about what I do, and so that creates a lot of excitement for me every single day. Seeing the customers respond not only to the packaging and how pretty the product looks, how pretty the store looks, but for them to come back and tell me that they really love that formulation, they really love how that felt, they really love how it made them feel emotionally. That's super exciting for me as well. And then I also get to do a lot of special projects. I get to do a lot of videos, a lot of filming, a lot of social media, and that part can be super exciting as well. I think young people today have so many more opportunities open to them because they have so much more information at their hands and information at their fingertips because of how the internet has blown up, how social media has developed. So my advice would be to focus on what you really like to do, what you really love to do, and make sure that that carries through everything that you do. Because in today's world of work, you're never going to be doing the same thing for 20, 30 years anymore. That's just a thing of the past. And so if you just hold on to one thing that you are super passionate about and super excited about and allow everything else to kind of ebb and flow around that, I feel like you're winning. So when I started the business, I really wanted it to focus on cosmetics for Caribbean women, and so I wanted the ingredients that would in the products be very recognizable as well. So we always make sure to use ingredients that people can recognize from their kitchen or their home. So in our fragrances and in our products, we use a lot of avocado oil, mango butter. In our fragrances, you'll see words like hibiscus and grenadier, which is passion fruit, so that people really feel a connection. The vision of the business has changed over the years in that we really try to focus on elevating what the idea of local products look like, not just through the packaging and through the presentation, but also through the formulation, so that people really feel that they have an international standard product, but can also feel the pride in having a product that is local and homegrown. So our tagline is Little Local Luxuries, and that runs through the entire business, from the shop to the product to the formulation to the chemistry and the underpinning foundation behind it.
Wow, that was so inspiring. And I've actually used both Shamir products and Catherine News's products, and they're fantastic. I mean, it's just incredible to see how these women have impacted on their space in our communities and our lives globally. And I'm sure a lot of you learned a lot.
Could you imagine attending a learning center, heading back to school, going to university, not even being able to attend your own lab classes, and still actually coming out as this doctor and all of this good stuff? And the typical child in Trinidad and Tobago, you're going to say, that could never happen, I could never make that happen.
Salome Jordan really touched me because,
a big story.
You know, she just reminds you that don't let anybody deter you from your goal, your passion. And Cheryl Bowles was like, if you rest, you rust. Find joy as you go through life. And just never let anyone determine your success. You keep prodding on and you're doing it and living your truth. So I really think that all of you are going to really enjoy having this Q&A, because you're going to have an opportunity now to talk with this panel, and we want to hear from your participation. And so some of you sent in your questions via video, some of you have written, but this is your opportunity to connect with this very esteemed panel.
Now, hear me out. Just before we do that, one of our very brave students who took the time to actually send in a question will be randomly selected using the Wheel of Names, all right, as the Wheel of Names website, to receive this very special prize. Okay, hello. So because we're exploring careers in science and technology, and I've told you what is a very special prize. Hello, don't touch my prize yet. What better prize than this? Let me bring it forward. This Rocket Smart. Let me tell you guys about this Rocket Smart kit. No, actually, you could do the Vanna White. You could do the Vanna White where you actually hold on to it and you give them the wave, and I'm going to do the description. So let me change my voice. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to have you guys here with us right now. And we're going into a competition segment, and you get a chance to win this fantastic Rocket Smart. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Now, the lucky student is going to win this prize, and you're going to have hours of fun building up to not 1, not 2, not 3, but 11 robots, ladies and gentlemen, and more. Now, the winner will also going to receive a camping tent, which we didn't assemble here today for Vanna White to show you guys, but you have an idea what a camping tent looks like. We have a torchlight. We do have the torchlight.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a torchlight. I'm not certain if batteries are included, as they say in the television commercials. All right, and a Bluetooth speaker. Who doesn't want a Bluetooth speaker in 2021? It seems to be one of the most trending devices that any and everybody seems to have. The beach line, the home line, the backyard line, we can't go anywhere else. So you tend to have that. And of course, the Jack's Restaurant voucher.
Okay, we have it here.
What, the voucher is here as well?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, let me display that for you.
Keeping an eye on it so you don't run off with it, huh?
For me? Okay, my bad. Okay, so folks, we're getting ready to jump inside of this exercise right now. We thank you guys so much for participating. Thank you guys for supporting the folks that have been here with us for the past couple of hours. We know that you guys are engaged. At least we are. At least I am. I'm sitting down here as if I'm attending this forum right now. This is something that usually happens to me in symposiums and other events, right? I attend as an MC. Yes, I'm invited to be a part of it, to chair the exercise. And then I catch myself sitting down here thinking that I attended this exercise because I take away so much information.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm actually I'm very impressed.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Q&A. So let's start with the video, and then the panel will take the questions as it's directed to you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Good afternoon. My name is Danis Henry. I attend Bishop's High School, Tobago. And my question is, do you think that women have equal opportunities as men in the field of science?
Big question. That's a big question, right? That's a general question, actually. I think it was posed to our panel. So any one of our panelists can answer that question. So feel free.
Your mics are open, so any of you can take the question.
Yeah, that was a general question.
Well, hi, this is Christine Carrington here. In terms of opportunities in Trinidad and Tobago, I would say that, we have free education at all levels. So there are entry points for women. You can get into your primary school education, your high school education, university education, it's all there. So there's no, I don't think there's any, from the point of view of access, there's no great hindrance, there's no great barrier. However, I think when you're in any space, you have, you do encounter some, discrimination or assumptions about what you are capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing that you have to overcome as well. And when we listened to the president this morning, she spoke about the vast numbers of female percentage, a proportion of PhDs and first degrees coming out of the university that are female. What we don't see though is very many women reaching the top of their careers. And there's a number of reasons why this happens. And so there's challenges along the way. So we were much better off than we used to be, but there's obviously a lot of room for improvement. That would be what I would say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Now it's Professor Christine Carrington. So what's in the next, we'll run the other video.
Yes, let's go.
Hi all, my name is Hadassah Nichols, a student of San Fernando Central Secondary. I am asking a question to any member of the distinguished panel. If you were a student studying science today during this pandemic, how would you cope with the challenges presented?
That's a very nice question, and that too is also a general question, so any one of our panel members can afford to answer that for us.
Just take it,
Thank
yeah.
you. Nice.
I'm really impressed that these young people want to ask these questions. Anyone of
So
you?
any one of our panelists, feel free to answer. Sure. Yes.
Hi, that was really a great question because we all saw how the world and how we teach and how we learn just changed overnight. Now, with it came pluses and negatives. So, I mean, I myself am a teacher at the University of the West Indies. In some ways, it actually improved where I noticed that students were actually able to engage more with us while we were teaching online. So there were students in class normally who will feel very shy and they don't want to ask, but in the chat forum, they were actually a lot more comfortable. And our lectures were also recorded. So there are these pluses that did happen in the online environment because many students told me they were able to now go back and review the lectures, which normally would not happen. But of course, based on the sciences you're doing, it also had its negative aspects of it. For example, the experience, there are things that you do need hands-on for. I mean, my background is in physics. There are physics labs that it's just not equivalent to do online, and similarly with chemistry. So it is a challenge. The whole world is in a challenging situation right now. But what I would tell all the students out there is that together we are getting through it, and focus on the positive. And still the online environment and the access we have with YouTube and videos, it certainly helps to complement our learning. Just talking in general, for example, pilots, although I'm not a pilot or anything, they learn a lot of stuff through simulations. So it is a bit of the way of the future where we can learn effectively, but nonetheless, remember that there's nothing like the full experience as in the field or in some of the situations with lab components. I hope that helps, Adia. Thank you for your great question.
Thank you very much for your great answer as well.
Yes.
And it's something I would have observed even in my daughter. She's in home free at a convent, and she's been very, very focused where the online classes are concerned. And then we also live in a time where everybody's a keyboard warrior, so it's easy for someone to sit behind a keyboard and say what they want. So in line with what she said about students who would have been shy in class, but now that you're home, it's easy for you to answer a question maybe without being judged or, you know. Yeah. So there are the
pluses and pros and cons, but as Dr. Hack says, you know, there's nothing like human interaction as well. So it's a great answer.
Yeah, so those are two general questions, and I think what we have now would be more questions that were directed to our panelists individually that you're going to get to answer as well, right? So let's continue with our questions.
Good day all. My name is Isabella Faith Leah Mendoza of Naparima Girls High School. My question today is directed to Professor Carrington. Hi Professor. Of all your accomplishments, which one do you think benefits the nation most and why? Thank you.
Thank you for that lovely question. I think that Isabella, thanks for that question. As a scientist, you know, the part of my job that I enjoy the most is actually my work at the university is actually the research. I just love doing research. I enjoy working with graduate students and helping them to achieve their research goals as well. And I think the part that has impacted us the most of all the things I've done, I mean, I'd love to have cured COVID, but obviously I alone can't do that. But the thing I think that has benefited the most is what I have passed on to the students, the graduate students, who have gone on to also become players in the scientific field. So we have increased the number of both men and women involved in virology research. Not all of them are back in Trinidad. Some of them have come back. Some of them are away. They'll come back later. But we just have a greater number of people involved, of experts involved who have our interests at heart and who can focus on the types of problems that we have to deal with. So I'm most proud of that achievement, my graduate students. Thank you.
Basically, what she's saying is that her impact on the nation will be creating more experts in the field.
That's right.
To go out there, and that's fantastic as well. Let's take in some more videos, guys.
Good day, my name is Janelle Samaru, and I'm a Form 6 Lower student at Astrobiology College, San Fernando. My question is for Ms. Cheryl Bowles. Based on your professional experience, can you please give us an insight into job opportunities available in Trinidad and Tobago in the field of biochemistry? Thank you.
That's a big question.
So, I think Cheryl Bowles, I think your mic is off.
Your mic is off. Just adjust your mic and you can start over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. In the field of biochemistry, it's been, as I'm saying, I'm not very much in the general work market, but it depends on your specialty. When I did biochemistry away, I actually wanted to work in a pharmaceutical company like a Pfizer or Merck away. That didn't happen, so I came back to Trinidad. And I was fortunate with my science background to be able to be chosen to be an assistant chemist at Nestle at that point in time. And within a year, I became the chief chemist. And basically, it was in an industry of food. So you may end up with a biochemistry degree, but it meant that I had to be flexible and look at other pathways in which I can use my science and still develop my career. So I'm really not too sure because I'm not again in the industry of work because I stayed mainly within a factory. Now today there are fewer factories than before, like you had Lever Brothers, and a lot of things have changed. So I'm not sure with respect to, unless you decide to go become an entrepreneur, where the jobs are. They may be in labs, they may be in hospitals, they may be in clinics or at the university, but I'm not sure really because I charted my own way after having that experience at Nestle, which gave me a platform, a very strong platform in which to propel. And I'm sorry if I can't answer it, what you expected, but it is, I'm not sure if anybody else would know about jobs in biochemistry in Trinidad and Tobago.
I think your answer about flexibility, though, Cheryl Bowles, is one that I think is quite relevant now in 2021, where entrepreneurship is at the peak of things, people using their career, their passion, and exploring new avenues through, online technology. So I think it's quite relevant. So thank you for your answer. We have more questions directed directly to the panel.
Let's go.
Hi. With regards to molecular virology, what are your thoughts on using bush medicine to cure viruses and diseases?
So I assume that's for me as the molecular virologist. Thanks for the question. So at the end of the day, all of our medicines started out as bush medicine, okay? Before, scientific research and formal drug formulations and stuff, people relied on the plants and the foods around them to try and address their health problems. However, we have to, I think it's important to recognize that there are pros and cons to doing things both ways. So the bush medicine that we use, right? There's something in that gives the effect that we want, that we're looking for. And there may be a lot of other things that give other side effects and cause problems that we're not looking for, okay? Also, when you're using bush medicine, you don't know exactly how much of what you're getting is in, you don't know how much you're using. There's no controlled doses. There's you don't know. There's no piece of paper telling you, well, if you have this condition, then you should avoid using this and you should use this instead. So there's no all of this. As I said, with formulated drugs, you have that information. You have clinical trials that have been done. You have safety information. The same can be done for bush medicine, but so it's important, I think, to respect the what nature has to offer. But before we prescribe it and give it to people, and we have to understand it. So there's a lot of science that has to go into understanding natural products, and if necessary, taking them from a complex plant extract to a single, component that has the effect we want, or a group of components. So it's just a matter of there's science involved. We've learned a lot. We can't about natural products, and I think the two things have to work hand in hand. Respect for what's coming from nature, plus respect for what science has taught us and what we've learned through science, put them together and get the best outcome. I don't know about curing that particular virus. There's a lot of work that's been done on testing extracts in a lab to see if they inhibit a virus, but that's many steps away from seeing inhibition of a virus in a test tube or in a petri dish is not the same as seeing it in a human. So it's a lot of steps. The same steps you go through for vaccines and drugs, we have to do them for natural products as well. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We have about 5 more questions, and we just want to say thank you so much for the questions, and panel, thank you so much for your very lucid answers, your great answers. So we're going to go on to the next video.
Hi, my name is Kelly Mahies. I go to Astra Girls College San Fernando, and I am currently in lower 6. My question is for Dr. Sharon Hack. Being in a field that is so dominated by men, have you ever felt intimidated when going into this career? And what advice would you give to younger girls who aspire to go into astronomy and physics, but have the doubts that they will not be taken seriously?
Okay, thank you for that excellent and very relevant question. So in the field of astronomy, there are just about under 20% of all astronomers are women. And in the Caribbean region, I'm the only English-speaking Caribbean region, I'm the only professional astronomer. So there is that challenge. Now, I'll give you my own personal experience. I think I was very lucky. I really did not experience any kind of bias from my perspective. We were actually often out in the field doing things, and my male colleagues had no problem having me tote heavy things. I was expected to do as they were. And I actually appreciated that because it was about the science, the work, and not so much about the gender. But especially astronomy is heavily dominated by men. I mean, there's a slide that I have of my colleagues, and I'm surrounded by about 10 men. And that tells you the situation, and therefore it does bring its challenges. So apart from the gender imbalance in astronomy locally and globally, there's also the situation of you can't get a job with it. Well, I think hardly anybody understood what I said in my video, right? So I just very briefly can touch on it here. That growing up, I myself was told right through that you're not going to get a job with astronomy. And they were wrong on both counts, that you can do astronomy locally, and I was able to get a job. I do astronomy at the University of the West Indies. So that was one of my messages towards the end, that listen to your inner voice. And I give a lot of talks in schools, and I get a lot of beautiful young girls just like yourself, starry-eyed, who will come up to me and say that they really love astronomy and they would love to do astronomy, but you can't get a job with it, and they are discouraged, okay? And that's my story too. But I was a little hardened, so I persisted. And that would be my message to you. There's something else I want to tell all of you young people who are fascinated by astronomy. Astronomy is one of the fields that has what we call transferable skills, because you could be studying with data. So you might do a project. My own PhD project was with like 6,000 galaxies, but to understand and study that, I had to learn programming. I had to know mathematics. And that's what we mean by transferable skills. You can do an advanced graduate degree in astronomy and find that you're working in the financial sector. Okay, so it's something for young people out there to bear in mind, that when you have esoteric fields like astronomy, make sure and understand it. And now it has also become, I think one of the other panel persons mentioned about the multidisciplinary stuff. So if you love astronomy, but you are really good at biology and biochemistry, give me a call, come on over. There's an entire field called astrobiology where we need that kind of skill sets. So one needs to understand that at the first thought, it's like, what good or what is the use of astronomy to the Caribbean? All right. But right here, we are working on astrobiology because we give the world unique locations like the Pitch Lake and the mud volcanoes. All right, so I know at the first instance, to all of you young people, it looks like I love astronomy, but I can't think of it as a career. Just think a little out of the box. And like I said, think of it as the transferable skills that do come from it. And always never be limited to just Trinidad or the Caribbean, because the world is yours. So you can take that passion and that skill and be working anywhere in the world. So I hope that helps. Thank you for your question.
Very much. I like the idea of the transferable skills. I'll give you like a quick example. So I went to TTHT and I did culinary management, but here I am as an entertainer. But I would call the transferable skill in there the creativity. The same way you present a plate looking really nice and you can see it and enjoy it and taste it and enjoy it, it's the same presentation on a stage. You know what I mean? The way you're dressed, the way you present it, it's like a transferable skill.
Nice analogy. Yeah. We'll buy it. We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take that.
We'll take it. So let's find out get some more questions in.
Hi, good day everyone. My name is Luke Latchman. I attended Holy Cross College for 7 years, where I completed my A-levels in Natural Sciences Studies. Right now, I'm preparing to do my MBBS at the University of the West Indies. So enough about me, and let's dive right in. First of all, thank you for having me here today. And my question will be directed to Professor Christine Carrington, the molecular virologist. So, my question would be based on the COVID-19 pandemic. So I would like to know, how has this pandemic impacted your line of work? I think we all could come up with a couple of reasons and a couple impacts and stuff, but I would like to hear from you, your first-hand experience, your personal experience, as to how this pandemic has impacted your line of work, positively, negatively, a general overview, however best you could explain this in the time we have available. So, because I'm sure there were challenges and there were lots of things, but the reason why I'm asking this question to not only to really get an insight as to how it was, especially as we have reached the stage of the vaccination and vaccines coming out and stuff. I am asking this for a lot of people who may be thinking about doing virology and who may be kind of scared now because of seeing how big a virus could really impact the world, and the level of stress and challenges that will come along with it. So I'm sure you could give a lot of assurance as to how at least how fulfilling the job could be. That's my assumption, but I can't wait to hear your response, and thank you for hearing my question. Enjoy the rest of the session, guys.
Thank you so much. I assume I'm teaching you now if you're going to do an MBBS, because I teach all the year ones and year twos. So hi. Impact. Well, it's impacted us in so many ways, but I'm sure many of them are common to others. So for example, as I said, my job has 3 parts: teaching, administration, and research. I know all my colleagues in the university and all the other teachers out there will agree that the COVID-19 pandemic was a very large burden when it comes to teaching and pivoting from face-to-face to online, and it was a lot of stress. So that took up a lot of time, and that would have taken away from the time that you can spend actually being a virologist. Same thing with the administrative load associated with that was immense. So that was a lot of pressure. I think one of the things that emerged from this is that I was called upon more often to sort of explain things to people, come and talk about viruses, talk about virology, which is something, I mean, I'm accustomed to lecturing and teaching students and stuff, but I was not familiar, you know, didn't have very much experience sort of going on television and talking to the nation about viruses and explaining how vaccines work and stuff. So that has been an interesting development for me, and I'm glad that I've been able to contribute there. And research-wise, now I've worked on a wide variety of viruses, but I used to focus mainly on mosquito-borne viruses, things like dengue and Zika. We had done some research on coronaviruses in the past. We identified coronaviruses, a specific novel coronaviruses in bats many years ago. This is around the time when they had the SARS epidemic. SARS, I don't call it an epidemic, but not a pandemic. But so we started working on coronaviruses then. So from what the outbreak has done is it's sort of helped pivoted us, like many other scientists, to a different virus. So there's a whole lot to learn about this virus. And it was, for me, I think one of the most heartwarming and interesting things about being a scientist at this time is seeing the level of collaboration across the world. Normally, when you do scientific research, you do your work, you collaborate with people, yes, you have your findings, you send them to a journal for publication, you wait many, many months, hope they publish it, and it's relatively slow. But with all the need, out of necessity, scientists have had to really collaborate, work quickly, put things out. Now, a lot of nonsense gets put out too, but you can really see science working. And that for me has been very exciting. And to see us sort of move from knowing nothing about a virus to being able to have a vaccine, several vaccines that can help prevent infection. That's amazing. I think a lot of people, just to end, a lot of people worry that, you're working with this virus, so you're sort of exposed and you're on the front line and you're likely to get infected. That's not the case. The labs we work in are very safe. We have all different levels of biological safety at where you can do different types of work. So we stick to what we have the capacity to do. We wear the right PPE and everything. So we're quite safe. And a lot of what I do is not within the actual infectious virus. So it's, I mean, I would encourage anybody to get involved in virology. It's a massive field, and we're going to need virologists, because this outbreak, I'm sad to say, hopefully we'll handle others better, but this is not going to be the first, or it's not the first, and it won't be the last virus to emerge from an animal population into the human population. So we have to be ready. We need more people in this field. So thank you.
Questions?
I think 2, maybe 3 questions again.
Yes.
Yep.
So let's go.
Miss Kim Malaleo, hope I pronounced it correct again, electrical and computer engineering. This is a field I think is rapidly increasing. Yes, we have technology, we have computers being used right around the world now. Has the outbreak of COVID-19 caused any decline in development? So has it impacted and made room for an increase in development? So did it carry up the bar, or did it actually send it down with a decline? Miss Catherine Nurse, cosmetic chemist and entrepreneur. One thing that fascinates me actually is, knowing what products is right for a certain type of person. So when doing experiments and carrying out research for products and testing, which factor impacts most? Is it genetics? Is it dietary factors, or is it environmental factors, or is it collaborative? Because somehow I think it is collaborative, but it's always good to hear from an expert. So, all right, so those are my questions as per the workshop which is scheduled for Thursday. I do look forward to the workshop. I do look forward to learning more and to meeting with you all through the online platform. I thank you again and again. I'm Roshana Ramsub from Sapphire Road, KPA Primary School. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Roshana, this is Kim Malalu. Thank you very much for the first question. I'll give a short response. You ask about if COVID has had an impact on developments in the area of information and communications technology, is what I understand, telecommunications and computers, you know. And my first contextual response is to say that when we think of developments in this field, my immediate response is to think of an entire value chain. So we can think of the concepts and the research, the development, the deployment, the marketing, the sales, the use, the technical skills to be able to use. Also, there is a parallel stream of facilities. One is the devices and the other is the service. So if you're thinking of a computer, the power of the computer has been expanded manyfold, as you can imagine, through the use of the computer connected to the internet. The power of the phone has exploded because of the use of the phone, the smartphone in particular, alongside the internet. So my first opening to my response is to understand that when we think of developments in this area, it involves developments across the entire value chain. What COVID has done, more than impact the developments at the sort of start of the chain, is really accelerate developments at the end of the chain. And when I say that, I mean developments in the area of bringing devices and bringing communications services and bringing digital skills to the end user. And so there have been profound impacts in these areas due to COVID, because COVID has revealed, amongst other things, the great disparity in the access to devices, services, and digital skills that are seen by underserved communities. Underserved communities that are on the basis of financial status, on the basis of social status, on the basis of cultural status, and also, as Salome has very beautifully shared with us, the aspects of access that accompany persons with disabilities of all sorts. So my answer to you is that COVID has brought to bear the need, it has revealed in stark terms the disparities in access to devices, service, and digital skills amongst disadvantaged communities of one sort or another. And that is, and one of the many areas is that it has stimulated is an interest in socio-economic based pricing of telecommunications services. And this is a profoundly different regulatory and policy-based approach to the pricing of telecommunications and data services, but really represents, I think, a start of a new generation of understanding equity and how it is that the world can move towards more equitable access to these things, devices, telecommunications and data service and digital skills that are necessary for every human being on the planet to play a part in his or her destiny, to play a part in advocacy, again, as Salome has very, very insightfully shared with us, and to participate in life and in society as we know it. So thank you very much for the lovely question. Handing over to Catherine.
Hi, thank you for the question. It's a great question because definitely as product developers, we need to be focused on the end user and make sure that we are developing products that are safe. However, skin is an extremely complex, exciting, and interesting organ. And yes, the answer is it is a combination of factors that determine how your skin will react to products that you apply to it. So it could be that certain things work for you and they work for your best friend. It can be that certain things make you react negatively and another person has no problem. And it's very difficult as a product developer to find a product that can be applicable to every single human on the face of the earth and work well. So that's why as product developers, you also have a responsibility to educate your customers so that customers understand the ingredients, the chemical names of ingredients on an ingredient label can be extremely intimidating to the average customer. And so that's why, and also there's a lot of misinformation out there available on the internet, available, by word of mouth. So it's very important that product developers make a real attempt to educate their customer about different ingredients that are going into the product and how they are best used. Is this something that's best to be used in the daytime or in the nighttime? Because when it's applied on the skin, the sun's rays then make the skin more irritating. So that people can determine for themselves, they can have all the information at their fingertips to determine for themselves what is best for them based on their genetics. So a really good example is I am a person who has extremely non-sensitive skin. I can put anything on my skin and nothing happens, nothing bad happens. And so because of my role in the cosmetic industry, I really am into textures. So I buy all sorts of products to test them to see how they will work. But that is not, I can't then suggest that to somebody else to do because I am not aware of how their skin will react. So it's really about the individual person getting the education that they need so that they can make those determinations for themselves. Thank you.
Very informed, I love that.
So while our computers are randomly trying to select a winner of those people who are those girls who ask and boy who ask questions, any parting words, anything that you'd like to leave us with?
Any of our panelists?
Any of our panelists?
Well, for me, science is a love, and I basically put it down to science is the building block of all life, especially in the field of chemistry, organic chemistry, or biochemistry, in which I reside. Because you have carbon, you have hydrogen, and you have oxygen. Basic for everything, for plant life, and even though you may have minerals or non-metals, but carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen gives you that possibility, and it presents so much possibility. It's so much for us to learn about, and it is the basic element. And so for me and for aspiring scientists, I would say go for it, because it's the world there, it's infinite. Every day we discovered new things, and even now I'm so interested in AI and how that and the technology and how it's weaving more and more with this interdisciplinary in the science. So I think it's alive and well, and just remember that in science, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, from a chemist's point of view, the basis of everything.
Thank you so much. Any other of the panel?
I would just like to say very briefly is that I would recommend that young persons don't limit themselves to thinking of the traditional buckets of professions, and even within the sciences, don't limit yourself, science and engineering, of course, don't limit yourself to thinking in terms of the traditional buckets of science and engineering, but really chat with people, read to see the beautiful, intricate nuances that are part of this interdisciplinary world that really provides the opportunity for every discipline to touch with science, So, and we would all be happy to chat with you about things like that. And good luck.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I think we can just spin that wheel.
Time for a wheel. Now, this is generated by a computer. We have no play in this.
Random.
Whatsoever. It's all random. The wheel of names.
So let's see which young student is going to walk away with these amazing prizes.
Or Rocket Smart. Remember, you can build over 11 robots using this fantastic device right over here. We have a torchlight as well and some more good things, okay? So thank you guys for your questions. Thank you for your answers, and let's spin the wheel. The winner is?
The winner is Denise Henry. And where does Denise come from? Bishop's High School in Tobago. Congratulations!
All the way in Tobago.
This is confetti coming down.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you. That is wonderful. Thank you so much for your bravery. All of you just coming out there and asking your questions and really generating some amazing responses. Thank you so much to the panel as well.
Yes, thank you guys so much. You just won yourself a Rocket Smart there, Denise. It's a pleasure to have you on our program. And of course, remember, we want to remind you guys that our recording is available on our website. So after today's program, yes, some people would have been here, some people would have heard about it, who couldn't have made it. But go online, www.nehus.gov.tt. On Facebook, like us and follow us today, and our YouTube channel to get some more information on coming programs and initiatives. Social media platforms as well. Also, the poll is online now as well. Okay, so make sure and check out the poll as well.
That's right, because you can win yourself 2 tickets, two passes, 2 jacks.
Vouchers.
Oh, it's a voucher. That's right. It's a voucher. Certificates to have dinner for 2 at Jack's. Beautiful restaurant.
Yes.
So, just send us complete the questionnaire. It's online now. And we want to hear from you. Just, yeah.
And we also have to thank them so much for being here. It's been a fantastic day. I really, really enjoyed being a part of today's program. It's been something really
it has.
different.
And as as the panelists said, if you feel as though you don't fit into a mold at school, a lot of us used to think of the traditional, as you're saying, the traditional occupations, the traditional careers. The world has evolved, and the realm of possibilities is endless. And science is an amazing, and I'm learning that every day, that this is what we live. And I really am inspired by all of these women who have charted the course and really have made an impact in our communities, in our world. So thank you so much for your hard work, for your contributions as you continue to work in this field, and for inspiring all these young women and girls in science. And today is International Day by the UN for Women and Girls in Science. So I just want to say thank you so much. And we're just getting ready to wrap things up.
And before we wrap up, of course, we're going to contact our winners, the polls and all that.
The winners will be contacted through marketing at NEHUS. So they will contact you to tell you who won the poll. But please, we urge you, because we want to improve this experience. So please fill in the poll. Thank you so much.
But I really want to say thank you guys so much for having me on board. I really appreciate being a part of this seminar today. It's been really, really nice. This symposium, it's been really, really nice. As a man involved in being in this program with Women in Science, and as a father of a daughter, my daughter's in Form 3. She already knows that she wants to be a lymphatic doctor, basically because she was born with a cyst. I'll just share with you guys. She was born with a cyst, and she did surgery in Cuba many, many years ago. And she is very much adamant about her case and helping other children in the future with that same level of science and technology. And what I would say though is that to me, as an entertainer involved in Trinidad and Tobago here, COVID-19 to me, I would say, has ended the world as we knew it. And we have the opportunity right now to rebuild that new world, basically. So all of these different fields that we're hearing about, all of these different works that are going in behind the scenes, I applaud you guys so much. You all really, really need to keep that up. And last but not least too, Women and Girls in Science, I'm a gentleman sitting here. It would be remiss of me if I didn't offer my Valentine's Day greetings to all of the ladies in my midst. So happy Valentine's Day to you, my dear.
Thank you so much.
Happy Valentine's Day to all of our panelists who are here with us as well, all of our ladies. Earlier today, I gave away a dozen roses in Port of Spain already.
Okay.
Yeah, because my initiative, I'll share with you guys too, and you can employ it in your own areas. We need to remind our ladies that they are appreciated, that they are loved, that they are respected and protected. And I just randomly bought some flowers before I attended this function, and walking across from the flower shop to here, none made it to the building.
Because I was looking to see.
I'm telling you, I literally gave the random woman issues. I told them just that, hi, how are you doing? This is just to remind you that you are appreciated and loved. I stopped a taxi with 3 men and 1 woman in the back seat. I gave the lady in the back seat by herself and I said, you are appreciated and loved, and these men are going to take good care of you. Have a good day. And I think it's really important for us as men to reassure women that they are appreciated in society so they too can continue working to assist not just us but the next generation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was my joy to be here. Sunny, it was great working with you, even though I didn't get a rose, but thank you so much.
What they say, what I miss you in past year? You never know. Hello. So thank you guys again for having us all here. We really enjoyed your company. But before we go, we want to hear from you guys, right? So click on the link that appears on your Zoom. All right, there's a link that is going to appear on your Zoom. You got to click on the link. The first two responses, as we said before, you are going to receive the big winner, right? So click on that link and you're going to get the big win to head on up to Jack's restaurant to have yourself some dinner. So make sure and send that one time. And as we conclude, none of this would have been possible without assistance and partnership of many organizations and persons. To give the vote of thanks, please welcome Ms. Deborah Lalu, Secretary General, Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, with more than 19 years service. Ms. Lalu has a diverse background in the public sector, and two of her most notable experiences are that of a career diplomat as a foreign service for Trinidad and Tobago and an immigration officer with the Ministry of National Security. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take in that vote of thanks. You'll have a fantastic day. Make sure and check out the link again. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, follow our social media sites. And of course, ladies, you'll keep doing a fantastic job. I am impressed.
Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Nian Gatsby-Dolly, Minister of Education, distinguished presenters, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. I am honored to have the opportunity to give the vote of thanks at this special event. First and foremost, on behalf of the National Commission and leaders, I wish to thank Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, for giving her patronage to this event and for the delivery of such a motivational message. Thank you to Dr. the Honorable Nian Gatsby-Dolly, Minister of Education, and for her ready support of this project and for sharing with us key aspects of education policy as it relates to the teaching and development of science in Trinidad and Tobago. A note of appreciation is also extended to Mr. Massimiliano Lombardo, Program Specialist for Natural Science at the UNESCO Regional Cluster Office in Jamaica. Perhaps this symposium will open the door to enhance collaboration between our two organizations in the future. I also wish to express appreciation to Mrs. Marlene Lord-Lewis, President of NEHAS, and to Mr. Dennis Francis, Chairman of the National Commission for UNESCO, for their leadership and guidance throughout all phases of the process up to the point of delivery. A big thank you to our distinguished presenters for your enormous support of this event. It has been truly enlightening to hear from such accomplished women in the field of science. Indeed, your words have inspired the students at this crucial point of making career choices that will impact on their future and that of the country. Special thanks to the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts and the Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation for their technical support, to Ms. Lavan Superville and the team in the International Projects and Marketing Departments at NEHAS. Thank you also to the General Administration Division of the Ministry of Education for their support throughout the preparation of this event. Most importantly, This vote of thanks would not be complete without thanking the President and teachers of the National Federation of UNESCO Clubs for mobilizing the club students to participate, the Division of Education, Tobago House of Assembly, for the assistance and cooperation in ensuring that the Tobago student population was represented at this symposium, and to our Master of Ceremonies, Sonny Bling, for his expert anchoring of this event. And last, but certainly not least, thank you to all our students for your keen interest and interactive participation in this important symposium. Once again, on behalf of NIHAS and the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, I thank everyone for making this symposium successful. It has been a pleasure being with all of you today. Thank you.